Hi Libra, this is your chakra check-in for May 2022. And like I always say, I start with what comes through first, which is usually what's most important. And yours came through right in order for me. So that let me know a couple of things. And the first is that you really have been going through this level of balance. And the second is, you know, you've been putting a lot of effort into it. And so we'll talk about that. So your root chakra is responsible for your sense of grounding, security, home. It's what is associated with home. And when we say grounding, it's the sense of like being sort of measured, steady, feeling like you have a ground under your feet. So you're feeling like, secure in that sense. So your root chakra actually looks pretty good. It's a little bit, just a tiniest bit, moved over to the side here. And I kind of feel okay with that. It's actually got a little bit more masculine energy in here right now. And I kind of feel like you actually need that. So it's pretty incredible what our bodies and our whole beings will do innately when they're trying to put themselves into balance. So this is sort of doing like this regenerating thing. It's almost like you are starting like a whole new chapter. And this doesn't mean necessarily with things that are happening. It's sort of like you have decided, I want to do some things differently. And you've started over in a very practical and pretty smart way by getting this root chakra sort of like regenerating. So the energy looks pretty good. And I don't know that we're going to do anything about that right now. Your sacral chakra, which is responsible for, this is where your emotions are housed, so where they live. And it's also responsible for your ability to feel passion and pleasure, and also your sexual pleasure. This has got it looks good. It's in line. It's got a little bit of some stuck energy in here, but it doesn't feel like anything in particular, like anything happened. It feels more like this is just sort of, it's built up over the years and it could use a little bit of cleaning out. And so we could do a little stimulation with this. I would do turmeric. And you could add this to like a smoothie, maybe with some ginger and like mango, or you could do a tea. So a tea or a smoothie. We're looking for those orange foods, but I like something that's got a little bit more spice, like turmeric, because it's going to sort of heat things up and get things moving. And the ginger will help a little bit with what's going on with the solar plexus chakra. So our solar plexus chakra is kind of our doing center. This is how we get things done, and it's also the seat of our ego. I can feel a little bit of, I don't want to say self-worth issues, but I can feel like you're still, like you're working towards really embracing and understanding and like really believing how great you are. And you're also, like I said, sort of getting stuff done, doing this, and sort of starting over. And I can see that in some of these other chakras too, which I'll talk about. But this guy has been like a little bit, there's this netting that sort of sits over our chakras. You've got some tiny little holes in this netting. And so we're seeing a little bit of this energy, excuse me, a little bit of this energy just kind of leak out. So, and it's nothing that you're doing wrong. It's just that you've been working really hard, I can tell. And so the ginger will help with this. I would also drink a lot of water. It's going to help with both of these, like more water than you normally drink. And actually at night, I would do a chamomile tea for this solar plexus chakra. And I think that'll help. It'll help sort of repair this. And it'll help, this energy will just naturally kind of start to almost be drawn back in. So your heart chakra also is, you can see you're really kind of in alignment this time. Your heart chakra maybe still a little bit of worn through with this netting. We do have a little bit of diffuse energy, but I can see it moving in this direction, which is good. You could, I would do a 528 hertz frequency. Anytime you do frequency healing, if you can get an acoustic sound, it's better than, a digital sound. And there's lots of controversy on this, but I have found that the digital sounds work fine as long as the intention when they're created is there. Most people that are creating sound healing are creating with good intentions. There's some on my YouTube channel, there's 528, but you can find them on any YouTube channel. And so I would do that 528. That'll actually help everything. It's kind of a universal frequency. I feel like maybe something else is going to come through for your heart chakra. Yeah, okay, let's just move on. If it comes back, I'll put it in. Your throat chakra, this is responsible for your sense of self, your ability to sort of be one with who you are and to freely express that. And I saw your third eye chakra actually moving around between your throat chakra and your crown chakra. So I'm going to talk a little bit about all of these, and I'll start with your throat chakra. So your throat chakra, I can see this also sort of what I would call coming back online, means you're starting to use it a little bit more. It's starting to be in better balance. You are getting a better sense of yourself, but there's a little bit of you that's still sort of developing your sense of self based on what you see around you, both in the people around you, in media around you. And there's nothing really I think you need to do here except be cognizant of that. So let me explain what this third eye in the throat chakra means. That's part of what told me what I needed to know about your throat chakra was that it was just a little bit, like I could see it a little bit lower on energy. It's fine. Again, I don't think anything we need to do. But also when I see this throat or this third eye chakra in the throat chakra, if you can think of your third eye chakra as sort of access to this memory bank. So when it's working, and people call this the Akash, right? Or Akashic records. I don't really call it that. I don't really use a lot of like standard terms because I find them to be a little bit dogmatic and restrictive sometimes. But if you can imagine, you're tapping into like this universal memory bank, okay? All the memories that have happened in all directions of space and time, and even sometimes thoughts that haven't been manifested into reality. It's a little bit harder to get at those, but so what you're doing is you're sort of evaluating, and that's part of you using this solar plexus chakra a little bit too much. We want to do a little bit more feeling, more just being. You're not over the edge. You're actually doing a pretty good job at that, and historically you have. But right now, we want to focus more on being, not doing as much. But so you're sort of using this memory bank to decide, like, well, who am I and what do I want to do and be? Which is, like kind of a smart way to make decisions, right? You look at all the information and decide, but you've really got to dig down deep. And actually, I won't say dig down. I'll say just let yourself float down a little bit deeper into who you really are. And if you find as you're contemplating, you're thinking about either, oh, but so-and-so's already like that, or maybe there's too many people like that, or maybe people don't like people like that. If you're starting to think about who you are in relation to other things or people, just sort of walk yourself back and say, I want to be in my own energy, in my own space. And actually, something's coming through about affirmations, so I'm going to put these in the story. Affirmations for self. So I'll include those, and you can use them I would say them, as often as you feel like. I usually say at least 3 times in one sitting, and 3 times a day would be great. So then your third eye, I already explained what that is. So your third eye is sometimes in your throat chakra, and it's sometimes moving up into this crown chakra. So to explain what the third eye would mean in the crown chakra, let me explain your crown chakra. So your crown chakra is your connection to your higher power, God, spirit, guides, nature, however you identify. And it looks good. This, to me, feels like you've had some kind of a strong connection. It does feel a little more traditional for you, but that's okay. What's interesting is that your third eye, you're willing to contemplate. So when your third eye is on point, right, you don't just have access to this memory bank, but because of that, you have this ability to be the observer, to objectively review concepts related to life and meaning and even spirituality in this very non-defensive way, in this way of the observer where you're just gathering information. And when that's up here in your crown chakra, it's usually like, okay, you're willing to sort of dig a little deeper and maybe allow yourself to begin to explore concepts as they relate to spirituality that might be, a little bit different than what you're used to. It's just you're finding yourself growing in this spiritual space. And when we have people who are usually more traditionally religious or spiritual, a lot of overthinking can go into this, and a lot of feedback from others, right? Because there's often this sense with traditional religion, you stick to this is the plan, this is the framework that works, don't deviate, or, bad things are going to happen or whatever. So I think you're beginning to realize that, not saying that you're going to, change religions or belief systems, but you're beginning to realize that, these other belief systems and foundations, frameworks for meaning that exist are valid for whomever adopts them. And they have theirs and you have yours. And that's part of what makes the world work better, right? And so when you're contemplating it from the crown chakra place, it's like, you're still not quite ready to be, jumping into all these crazy new concepts. And you may never be, and that's fine, because you appear to be doing what works for you, and that's what's most important. So you're using this shield like, hey, I'm going to step out into the unknown a little bit. However, I'm going to keep my belief system right here beside me because that's what makes me feel safe. That's what makes me feel like I won't stray too far off the path. And like I said, I think that's perfect for you, Libra. So all in all, you are looking pretty balanced. To summarize, for your sacral chakra, I would do a turmeric, ginger, either tea. You could add mango and some other tropical fruits, orange, yellow for a smoothie if you want. The turmeric is very important. Drink extra water. At night, I would do a little chamomile tea for this solar plexus chakra. It'll just keep it right in line. I would do a 528 frequency, which you can find free on YouTube. Look for acoustic sound if you can, and that'll help for all of your chakras. And then I'm going to add some affirmations in my story and in my highlights for you to do that regarding your throat chakra. And just settling in, like, remember how far you've come. Kind of look back. I feel like you're not celebrating your wins as much as you could be. And that's also tied to this, right? You're like, maybe the things I do aren't that big of a deal. And they are that big of a deal. And I can tell that they're that big of a deal to the people in your life. And I think that's part of why this root chakra is still looking good. It's like you're almost doing this because you know that you're a ground for other people. Okay, thanks.